does say pre-live on my screen. So if this is live and you are listening, we're just going to wait for a couple more people to join. So if you've tuned in waiting for this to start at 11 o'clock sharp, it will start sharp. We're just going to give another 10, 20 seconds or so for a few more people to join, and then we will get cracking. Okay, fine. So it's 11:01 now. So let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to our webinar, which is we're going to talk about personalizing your customer experience. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Ben Cohen. I'm the Managing Director of Fidelity Payment, and I'm going to come back into the webinar a little bit later. But first of all, we're going to give you over to our main man, Raymond Phelan, who is our in-house expert on customization and helping you get the best use out of Blink. So without further ado, over to Ray. Off you go, Ray.
Thank you, Ben. Ben's mentioned, essentially deal with the Blink360 portal. And we hold these webinars to focus on specific features of our everything payments platform, Blink360. So if you are new to Blink360, or if you're not, this platform is one of a kind within the payments industry. With 20 years experience, we know our merchants well and the tools they need to run successful businesses. We've taken all these tools and we've placed them all within the one portal that is Blink360. The painstaking task of reconciling payments using different systems are behind you, this unrivaled payments platform. Blink360 is much more than just a place to process payments. It's also a multitude of different features already in our arsenal, and we are consistently adding new and exciting features every week, and that matches our merchants' ambition. This leads me on to obviously the main focus of this webinar is the customization of the portal. So it's essentially the payment page of the portal where you can customize it and make it feel your own. Blink360, obviously, the customizer itself allows you to style your very own Blink page, and it's used for e-commerce payments where you can add logos, banners, open hours, and much more for added customization. So without further ado, this is essentially what it looks like, but I want to show you exactly what it looks like on the portal. So you should be able to see my dashboard here. So what this is the main dashboard of Blink360. And it's got everything you want here in terms of payments, to take a payment, send pay links. That's your main features here, and also obviously view your transaction, your analytics. But what we're going to focus on today is the customizer. Now, this is essentially what the customizer looks like. You've got obviously all the places where you can amend those specific settings, and it's all related here. So this is essentially the live version of what you've amended here. So you can amend your settings. The URL slug here is the Blink360 URL. So I'll have your blink360.co.uk/your business name. You can have currencies on there, the GBP, Euro, USD. You have your card types. You can add specific messages in the receipt footer. So when a successful transaction is taken, you'll see your information there for your customer. And then you have a redirect URL and success as well, where a customer, after payment, they're redirected to a success page. Now, what's a Blink page? A Blink page is essentially a URL that's only for you. So it's blink360.co.uk/your business name. Now you can obviously send this across to your customers to take a payment from them. And they'll be obviously assigned to place in the reference and the amount as well. So let's just say you're an insurance company and you have sort of policy numbers, and you don't want this to display in a certain, you don't want to display the full name. You just want to be slightly informal. You want to have a name there, your email address, reference is probably a policy number. Pop in there. You can amend these specific fields. You can make them required as well, so they're all mandatory. So I'll just add that on. And then you can, once you save those changes, you can see all these fields are now mandatory with that red asterisk. You can make them, you can hide specific fields as well. So the policy number or description, if you don't want to show that, you can actually hide that there as well. As you can see, in real time, it updates. You can add specific opening hours for your business as well. So I'm just going to set Sunday for close, and no 9 a.m. to 5 is the standard opening hours. And once you amend this, this will appear on the actual Blink page itself. So when your customers do use that specific Blink page, they'll be able to see it and then know when's good to call, when's not good to call, and specific information like that. So I'm just going to add that on Friday as well, and we'll make Sunday closed. You can add also your email address in here as well. So I'm just going to add mine and your telephone number. So what happens if there's any discrepancy with the actual Blink page at all, or if they're not too sure about what specific amount or reference they use, they can actually give you a call there. So as you can see, this is what we've done so far in terms of customizing the actual the Blink page. So we can actually preview that as well before we send it to live. So this is what it looks like. Maybe you want some more styling. Maybe you want your own logo. So we can do that all within the portal as well. So I'm just going to add a logo here. So we have a insurance logo here. Just say you're an insurance company. Maybe you have an offer with your specific insurance policy, potentially a 25% off, which I've added on here. As you see, it's all there. And then I'm just going to preview that just to see what that looks like. And just to say we want some extra coloring on that. Maybe we want to change the background color. So we can just go here. And what's quite handy about this background color is you can amend it to anything really. If there's a specific color scheme that you have, be it RGB values, HSL, or even hex values, you can always amend it in within the customizer. So let's choose something, I don't know, maybe a bit blue, just to match our theme. And as you can see, update there. If you're happy with all that, then you can actually update the Blink page. And all you'll need would be the URL just to test it out. So now you have your full URL. This would be obviously blink360.co.uk/your business name. Copy that to clipboard, open up a new tab, paste. As you can see, put your Blink demo here. And if you're not happy with that, you can always revert those to the original, like so. That's essentially the customizing part of it. You can add different banners, different logos as you see fit. By all means, you can add any type of be it a JPEG, be it PNG, different formats of images as well. And also, if you wanted more than one page, you can request it here under request additional Blink page. Once you hit confirm, that would send a message to our backend team, create one for you. And then you'll see it here, and you'll be able to modify those specific pieces of information. As well as that, you can also update the logo here. So the logo is the sort of theme of your website, so you'll know of your platform. So you'll be able to just click on that. You can add your own file, add your own logo here, just for that added customization, and especially for your employees as well. If they want to obviously see that they are logged into the correct account, they'll be able to see that logo there as well. And of course, with any sort of platform like this, there's always a dedicated support team that we have here. If you have any issues or any questions about this feature or any others, you can literally just click this telephone receiver here. You can start a live chat, which is this bit here in the bottom. You can create a support ticket, or alternatively contact us here. If you want to create a support ticket, just click on that. And for any query, not even if it's to do with the customizer, something to do with your account administration, any specific general query that you had, specific gateway queries, or if you have physical card terminals, you can raise it there as well. And also, if there's any feature that you feel is missing, you have that request a feature function here. You can always just pop in the message there and then send it back to our Blink team, and then we'll look into that and potentially add that feature onto our roadmap. So this Blink360 is essentially something that we're we're going to have all our merchants on. We highly recommend all our merchants to get activated as soon as possible. If you're not activated just yet, by all means, either send us a message, give us a call. We'll try and get you activated as soon as possible. So yeah, that completes my tutorial there. I'll just hand you back to Ben.
Just remove myself from mute there. Hi, thank you very much, Ray. That kind of sums up the customizer and how it works. Just before I share my screen, run through a couple of slides. The uses for this and having a generic payment link be used to add to an invoice. So if you're an insurance broker, you're a solicitor, an accountant, or any other B2B business where you're sending out invoices, this is a generic link which you can put at the bottom of every invoice, and that allows your customers to make payments much quicker and simpler. I'll just share my screen now. I'm first going to start by showing you an invoice where we've got a client that's actually added this to their invoice. So over here you can see this is a company called BBS Law, and just skipping past all the information, you see at the bottom they've got a click to link, and that takes you to their generic payment page. So if I click on that, what I will need to do is I'll need to unshare and reshare my screen, so just give me a moment. That has taken me to a payment page, which only I can see for the moment. If I just share my screen once again, as you can see over here, that's taken me to a generic payment page where I can fill in my name as a customer, fill in my details, reference number, etc., and make the payment by card there and then. Very, very simple, and it saves me having to do a bank transfer, add it to a payment run or anything else complicated. So as a business, you can allow your customers to pay your invoices as quickly as possible by using generic links in various different places. So just to kind of cover a little bit of details about Fidelity Payment, I'm going to share my screen for a third time now, and this time it will be the PowerPoint I prepared earlier. So Ray, just give a thumbs up if you can see my screen. It means everyone else will be able to. Excellent. So just a little bit more about Fidelity Payment. So if you aren't an existing customer, or even if you are an existing customer, just the main 4 payment solutions we currently offer: card presence, we provide card processing terminals, e-commerce gateway. So if you're a website, we can provide you with a gateway in order to take card payments through your website. A virtual terminal, so being able to take payments over the phone by tapping card details into a virtual terminal. You actually have to put it into a physical machine. And also direct debit is a 4th payment method, and in many ways different to card payment, where you can actually collect direct debit through our Blink platform. The question is for you, and the majority of people tuning in today will be existing Fidelity customers. Why use Blink? Some of you might have been activated, some of you might have not activated your account, some of you might not be Fidelity accounts. But the main point is, remember, it's not just one facility you use on there. It's not just the virtual terminal. It's not just 1 or 2 things. This is an area you go to for your reporting. So you can see all the payments taken through Blink. You can monitor and download various different reports and see transaction histories. Virtual terminals, as I mentioned earlier, taking payments over the phone. You log in here to take payments. Don't tap it into your card machine, because then you'll have no record of it besides the little slip that comes out of it and gets lost. Card payment security. So being able to take payment over the phone is a fantastic use, but not very PCI secure. And I know a lot of people will be working from home at the moment. So taking card payment details over the phone means potentially you can have employees that are writing down card details. PCI breaches are a potential and something to avoid. So by sending out a payment link to a customer, it allows them to put the card details into the payment page. It's a transaction they're doing from the comfort of their own device, so it's completely 3D secure, and it's as secure as a chip and pin payment. And that means that if there are any breaches or any frauds, you're not on the hook for it. But most importantly, the chances are you won't have any card payment fraud if you're sending out payment links rather than taking payments over the phone. You've also got the ability, as mentioned earlier, to add a link to email, but also to send out via SMS. Again, it just creates another way in order to collect payments. And as shown earlier, you've got the generic links. Direct debit. So direct debit is another fantastic feature. We're not going to go into it today, but we can run a whole webinar on that as well sometime in the near future. But collecting monthly payments. So if you're a vet practice and collecting payments for ongoing vaccinations or other services, but that's more of a kind of like a standing order. And then one of the most important features we've got on Blink as well, and that's why I advise you to log into it and use it, is for any support cases. So when you've got an issue, the terminal's not working, in the unlikely event you've got a problem, log a case on there, open up the chat on there, and that links directly into our own CRM system. So until the case is actually closed off and you're happy with everything, that is on our system as an open case. For some ways, far easier, more convenient way to raise support. You can always call us, we'll always answer the phone. We're not a self-service business, so you normally within 10 seconds we will pick up the phone. Opening hours are extended at the moment, 8:30 to 8:30. That will be going to 24 hours sometime soon, but we would like as many customers as possible to use Blink360 to raise support issues, and because that's a far more efficient way of dealing with it. And just remember, this is your one hub for everything payments. Just for those businesses that aren't currently using Fidelity and thinking about switching to us, I'm just going to run through a couple of case studies to show you how much money we can potentially save for yourself on card processing fees. So this is a case study for an e-commerce merchant. Their processing fees currently, well, until they moved over to Fidelity, were $171,000 a year. We actually managed to save them £54,000. It's a 31% saving. So obviously this is a larger merchant. It was actually a WorldPay merchant where they had premium charges in there. So, you know, it was a very big saving, a huge win, and obviously providing them a far better payment solution and services and support as well. Second case study, just move on to one of our partners we work with, a company called AgSmart. Again, 33% saving. Now, this was a much smaller merchant, still having processing fees, an annual fee of £5,644, but we managed to bring it down to £3,733, a huge 33% saving. So, these are just two case studies. On average, we try and aim for at least a 20% saving. When it comes to merchant services, not only are we trying to provide you a far better solution than you've currently got, as well as support, there's also a big cost saving to it as well. So just to finalize, see how we perform. Send us your statements. If you're already a Fidelity merchant, or even if you're not, book a Blink demo. So Ray at the moment has kind of demonstrated how the customizer can work for you. This is one of many functions. We're happy to give you a private demo, and we can show you how it might best work for your accounts team to run reports, or how it can help you set up payment links for invoices. Get in touch with us and book a Blink demo to see how we can customize it for your business. And thirdly, just remember to use Blink. If you're a Fidelity customer and you've activated the account, make sure you actually start using it. And if you haven't activated it, speak to us and we can help you get new usernames and passwords. Just on a side point, you can have as many users as you want with different levels of permission. So if you've got staff that are taking payments, you don't want them to be able to issue refunds or do other things on it, we can set much lower levels of permission for different users. So get in touch with us and we'll set that all up for you. Just my next slide, just to finish off, we're going to open the floor to any questions, and Aman, who's checking questions, will read them out to us, or possibly Ray. But whilst you guys are busy tapping away at questions, these are our contact details. Get in touch with us anytime if you need any help, and we'll leave this on the screen while we answer the questions. So thank you very much for joining. Thanks for listening. And now to run through a few questions.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks, Ray. That was very insightful. You had a few questions. The first one is the Blink page 100% secure?
Yeah, so I can take that one. So yes, the Blink page is 100% secure. By secure, we mean how a customer actually processes a payment. So as it's an e-commerce type of transaction, e-commerce transactions go through 3D Secure, which is essentially from the scheme. So it shifts the liability in terms of chargebacks to the scheme itself. So Visa, MasterCard, or Amex. As long as your customer goes through 3D Secure, that shifts the liability. And not only does it avoid fraud in terms of you, the merchant, but also it gives the customer sort of the satisfaction that they feel that the whole experience has been secure, which again would increase in transactions.
Great, thank you. The next question: why would you want to use a second page?
So a second page, depending on maybe a type of promotion that you're running. Maybe you want to target specific industries if you're B2B, or specific customers if you're B2C. It just has that option for you to have to send to different demographics or different industries if need be. But it's always good to have that option instead of not having that option.
Great, thanks, Ray. A few more questions just come in. What development is needed to add this to your website?
In terms of the development, to add this to your website, what you'd need would be a website itself. You would need a shopping cart, and what we'll do is we'll provide you a module to sit within that shopping cart that would obviously connect our payment gateway system to this shopping cart. So when a transaction is processed, it hits the gateway and then shows up on your Blink360 transactions. So along with that, once it shows up on your Blink360 transactions, you'll be able to run analytics, run reports, everything like that. So it's all connected within that one hub that is Blink360.
Great, thank you. Just a few more, Ray. What's the risk in terms of chargebacks?
So in terms of chargebacks, the main risk of chargeback is the method of payment. So if you have a Moto, which is over the phone type transaction, if you use that on a regular basis and you're worried about chargebacks, I would suggest going down the pay link or Blink page or generic link page for a transaction, because with that specific transaction, it's e-commerce. So that will mean that your customer would go through 3D Secure, which again would shift the liability from you, the merchant, to the scheme, Visa, MasterCard, Amex. Now, as long as you have that in place, you can be safe with the knowledge that it's as safe as a chip and pin or contactless payment.
Great, thanks, Ray. Sorry, we've got a lot more questions that's coming through.
No
so
problem.
Here's some more. What impact does it have with my PCI compliance?
So PCI compliance, yes, that is a sticking point for a number of our merchants. But you can be safe in the knowledge that as the Blink page itself, the fields, is all hosted. So depending on how you're integrated determines what type of PCI scope you fall under. If you're using a hosted integration where you do not handle any card data and it's all handled by the payment gateway, the payment gateway needs to be PCI compliant level 1. You'd be happy to know that our payment gateway is. I don't know any payment that's not a payment gateway that's not PCI level 1. So as it's a hosted page, you don't see the data. It doesn't pass through your servers. So the PCI, in terms of integration, is less of a headache than a direct integration. And it's a very simple questionnaire that you can fill out. But in terms of PCI and in terms of integration, because that determines the level of PCI that you go through, hosted integration is by far the best.
Great, thanks, Ray. Can we ask for part payments on an invoice?
Can you ask for part payment on an invoice?
Yes.
Did you say?
That's
I mean, that is dictated by your accountancy software. So what we will do, we'll handle that payment. In terms of how much you want to collect, it would be totally up to you as a merchant. And obviously what's specified within that invoice. What we'll do is we'll take the amount that customer wants to pay. And depending on how you would like to obviously display that for your merchant, that's for your customer, that's fine. But as long as we have a specific amount, we'll be able to process that payment. If it's on a repeat payment, we have that option on the virtual terminal and PayLink, where a customer can actually set a repeat payment. So you'll be able to take a large payment in small installments. That is an option, and that will just run on a timer. So every month, that specific amount will be taken. But in terms of a part payment, as long as you send it across the amount in which you want to pay, then we'll take that and process that transaction for you securely.
Just to add in there, Ray, with a part payment, when you send out a payment link via email or SMS, you can allow the customer to either edit the payment amount or not. So if, let's say the invoice is £1,328, you've got a toggle button there before you send the link out whether to allow the customer to edit that. So if you're collecting an invoice for exactly that, you might not necessarily want them to do part payment because that might mess up reconciliation. But if you do and you're open to making a part payment, then they can edit it and pay exactly what they want, and you can track that link and see what was paid.
Yeah, correct.
Great, thank you, Ben. While we've got you on the screen, this might be another question for you. What's the difference between us and Stripe?
There are many differences. I would say probably the biggest difference is the fact that we aren't a self-service model. So you're seeing real people on the screen now. You've got our phone numbers, you've got our emails. So there's that very much personal service. where we can set up and customize our solution specifically for you. I would say Stripe is a very good solution in certain areas, but it's always worth remembering that processing fees tend to be about double what we charge, and funding normally takes about 7 days to come into your account, whereas we can provide you funds within the next day. So that's a very, very big difference. But I would say probably the biggest one is our customer support and the functionality offered on Blink, which is completely unique to Fidelity. So if you're interested in sending out pay links, this is probably the world's best product. It might be a bit it might be a bit related, too closely related to be saying that, but I think in terms of sending out payment links, this is probably the best product you can have.
Great, thank you, Ben. I think we've got another one for Ray. Is it possible to create the link in another language?
Interesting. That sounds like a great feature. Yes, so in terms of your browser that you use, a browser, Chrome, I know Google Chrome have an option for you to translate with to your specific geographical area, and will allow you to obviously translate specific words into your local language. That is an option on the actual browser itself, not a specific option within Blink360, but it's very interesting. And what I would suggest is to for that specific merchant to send in a request for that. So when you log into Blink, there's a little request a feature area, and when you populate your the information in terms of what you want the feature to be, once you click send, that will send it straight to our backend team, and we look through that on a daily basis and seriously consider every single one that that comes through, because obviously we operate on customer feedback, and it's highly important. I can't stress that enough. It is highly important because essentially it's our merchants using it. We want to make sure our merchants are happy when they're using this portal. So yeah, it sounds very interesting. I would suggest that they do send in a request a feature for that.
Just by the way, Ray, we do have merchants that have translated their page into Hebrew. So if I just bring up an example now, forgive I think it's still a little bit in development stage, so ignore the writing that says to make your donation, but you can see over here they've got the amounts. So this is obviously targeted at both UK and Israeli customers. So you can change the fields on generic payment links to different languages. That can be done.
Great, thank you, Ben, for sharing that. A few more questions still coming in. Can SMS links be paid by Apple Pay?
So yeah, that's a good question. So in terms of the development of the specific portal, Apple Pay is on our roadmap. Apple Pay and Android Pay to be implemented with a payment gateway. Via payment with your actual mobile, obviously you have your SMS. You receive your SMS, you click on the link, and if you're using a smartphone, you'll be redirected to the browser that's on your phone. Now, at this moment in time, Apple Pay and Android Pay is not what doesn't have the capability just yet, but it's definitely on our roadmap for our rollouts that are coming, and will be built very, very shortly. We've struggled with Sage Pay and other payment gateways in which they don't have this functionality. But what we're doing, we're integrating specific gateways that do accommodate that. So if that is a big point for you, we can actually specify that you'll be using this specific gateway that will accommodate that type of transaction.
Thank you, Ray. Just got 3 more questions coming in. If I have 2 shops, how do I choose which account the payment goes to?
If I had 2 shops, yep. So with 2 shops, you would normally have 2 merchant IDs. So depending on the payment that you take, so as for instance, you take an over-the-phone payment, on the virtual terminal page, you have an option to select which specific account you want to use. So that specific account will be that specific premises. And then once you select that, any transaction that you make within that account will be sent to that specific merchant ID. And in turn, once this process, you receive that into that specific bank account. So it is possible. Yes.
Great, thank you. We've got a few questions from existing Fidelity customers. As an existing Fidelity customer, is there any additional cost for moving to Blink?
Yeah, so in terms of costings, when you move over to Blink, what will happen is there will just be the transaction cost. The transaction cost is set at 30 pence per transaction. So via virtual terminal or PayLink. It's only 30 pence, and with that, you'd also have access to the analytics, the transaction, the reporting, so the main cornerstones of Blink360 and why it's so great. And in terms of obviously monetization and whatnot, there's no extra cost in terms of monthly rental or whatnot now, but it's just 30 pence per transaction through Blink360.
Great, thank you. And one more.
One second,
Sorry,
Alan, just on that, I'm just going to quickly share my screen, which just show the pricing. Let me just get it to the right size. But yeah, I think on along the lines of what Ray was saying, there is no fixed monthly cost. Every single Fidelity customer will have a Blink360 account. It's just about activating it. Just to show a little bit clearer, you see for new customers, we've got a price which is £0 per month. Obviously, transaction fees are slightly higher at 30 pence, but it gives you a chance to try it out, and you can do your customer support and all your reporting through that. It won't actually cost you anything at all. If you are going to use it for many transactions, we would advise you to go onto a plan where you're paying either £15 or £20, and the transaction fee goes down to 15p. The difference between these two plans is the 50 or 100 transactions. So if you're not sure about it, start using it, see how you get along with a 30p per transaction, then perhaps move on to a better plan.
Great, thank you very much, Ben. We've just got one last question. We have FideliPay already in use, and all our staff have individual access. Do new users need to be set up to use Blink360 in addition to FideliPay, or are they linked and therefore accessible straight away for all staff already registered to use FideliPay?
Yeah, I think that's a valid question. So we want to get all our merchants who are currently using FideliPay to use Blink360. Why? Because it's 100 times better. Everything's aesthetically pleasing, but not only that, all the functions that you have within FideliPay exist on Blink360. So there's no point why you should not be using it. And not only that, you have the added feature of analytics, reporting, and users as well. So we have a user model. So if there's many merchants that we have, many users that you have on FideliPay currently, we'll happily translate them over for you. All we'll need would be which account it is, and we'll do the heavy lifting for you. And then what we'll do once that user has been added, we'll send them out an activation, and that will mean that that person will receive an email to click the link, and then they'll be redirected to Blink360 to create the password. Obviously, all fully secure, and obviously, depending on the level of access you want to provide, we'll replicate what you've currently got on FideliPay to our Blink360 level of access. So you can be safe in the knowledge that their access in terms of information that they can see is identical.
Thank you.
And the main point of that is make sure you do get in touch with us. Again, contact details on the screen. But if you want FideliPay users moved over to Blink360, make sure you get in touch with us, because you will have an account. All you need to do is activate it, and we're on hand to help you get it all set up.
Thanks, Ben. Sorry, just going back to the question with the two shops and being able to choose which account the payment goes into. We've just had another question on that. Are the shops automatically added to Blink360?
Yes, so it works on a hierarchy. So you have a legal entity, and then beneath that you have specific locations or specific businesses. Then what we can do, we can link all those merchant IDs into one account. Okay, so if there's a specific head of legal entity that you have like Ray Shoes Limited, then I have these various different type of merchant IDs. They can all be linked into the one login. So you'll be able to pick and choose which merchant ID you want to process that specific transaction on.
Thank you, Ray. That's all our questions for today.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you very much for joining in. Good to be able to talk about some of our fantastic features on Blink. Please get in touch with us. And thanks, Ray and Alan, for co-hosting and demonstrating.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
All the best. Bye.
Bye now.